Hi, I'm Fred. I'm here with Mike Dallas from Scorched Earth Brewing Company at the Losch Genius Bar. Mike, have you ever been a guest on a Genius Bar before?
I've never been called a genius or been on a guest Genius bar, but if there's a bar, I'll be there.
That's great because actually you're our first guest on the Genius Bar, so you nailed that one.
All right, sounds good.
We're going to review Scorched Earth Exiled Angel, a Belgian Golden Strong Ale. Again, I'm excited about all your beers, but this one, the Belgian style with the Belgian yeast and all that it imparts on the beer, the fruity esters, is just great, and the flavors are terrific. Can you give us a little insight into this beer and how you produce it?
So I think what makes us a little bit unique in the Chicagoland area and probably across the U.S. for the most part is while we're brewing on the brew house, traditionally like most United States breweries, we're fermenting this style of beer in an open fermenter. This is a traditional fermentation approach that you would find in Europe for centuries, in England and Belgium, and even in Germany. And these fermentation vessels are different styles: horizontal, long, tall, cylindrical. We have a tall cylindrical style, more of an English style, but all of our Belgians, we want to ferment in this style of open fermenter. And the great thing is the yeast strain, it's a high gravity strain that has been basically brought from these wonderful Belgian Abbey breweries.
Right.
And we bring it into our brewery so that the yeast strain already knows to do what it needs to do. And it's natural in its open fermentation environment. And it creates these wonderful complex flavors. It's single cell organisms, little yeast, and all they do is eat sugar, divide, eat sugar, divide. And while they're doing it, they kick off pepper, fruit, clove, all these wonderful phenols and esters and things that some people enjoy about beer, and I love about beer, and that's what's so great about Exiled Angel.
It's a great beer. I'm glad you guys are doing the open fermentation. It's really helping this beer, so we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, cheers.
The next beer at the Losch Genius Bar is Scorched Earth Base Jumper IPA. One of the most popular categories in the craft beer movement right now is an Indian Pale Ale. Mike is producing a wonderful one in Base Jumper. Nice citrus aromas and a good balanced malt background. Mike, can you give us a little insight into this beer?
Yeah, sure, Fred. This beer is a West Coast style IPA, and on the craft beer world and craft beer geeks, it's West Coast, East Coast. Midwest doesn't necessarily have a style, but West Coast is really about malt in the background, hops in the foreground. So hop aroma, hop flavor. We use a hop that we finished with called Falconer's Flight. That hop should give you a combination of citrus, pine, resiny type flavor. But again, the malt's in the background, so you're going to get a caramelly malt or whatever else. We use 2-row paste malt. But it's a really cool IPA. It's intended and brewed so that we can get people back into this drink constantly and go back for another. So yeah, I'm excited.
I will definitely be going back for another, so thanks for producing this beer.
Thanks, Fred.
Great IPA.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Mike, so our next beer at the Losch Genius Bar is your Maibach, which I'm excited about because this is one of the most underrated seasonal beers in the industry. It's a lager, which also throws another dent into it because all of the hoppy ales that are out there. So can you tell us a little bit about your Maibach?
Yeah, sure. And quickly, I agree with you too, Fred. Lagers in the craft beer industry, they're really catching a lot of steam lately. IPAs are still out there going nuts, but lagers are coming into their own, and it's so great to have a local lager available. So this one in particular is a seasonal. It's a Maibach. It's a pale beer, as you can see. So unlike your regular Bock or Doppelbocks, which are those nice brown or even mahogany type colors, it's more of a pale color, and that's just due to the fact that we don't put a lot of dark Munich or other dark type malts into here. But this is all German malt, Pilsner malt from Germany, some Munich, and some other great malts in here, and we're just excited about it. German hops as well, German lager yeast, so we're not cheating anywhere here on this beer. It's perfect for this time of the season, and a lot of people like to drink a whole lot of this. This is #1 down in our tap room, and I'm sure anybody who's got a Maibach and they're serving anywhere right now, they're getting a lot of success out of this beer.
Great background. Thank you.
Yep, cheers.
Cheers. We're going to review Hickster, which is a cream ale, correct?
Correct.
So I'll give you a little bit of what I'm enjoy about this beer, and please correct me as our guest genius where I've steered wrong. But in general, this beer for me is just a great sessionable beer. Some people call it a lawnmower beer, which is good because you can have quite a few and still work throughout the day.
Right. I would agree. This beer, 4.8%. So it's a really easy drinking beer from the alcohol side of things. There's some flavor in there from some of the malt we use, so you're going to get kind of a light biscuity type toasty malt in there. We use corn as we mash in during the brewing process, so you're going to get maybe a light corn flavor, a light corn aroma, which is really cool to this beer too. And because we use an ale yeast, it's a cream ale, you're going to get a light fruitiness too, kind of a whisper of citrus in there. So I think all those three make it a great drinking beer for this time of year, especially in the summer.
Yeah, it's terrific. And in a crowded IPA market, this stands out for me. I love the malt forward beers, and there's just not enough of these being produced.
Oh, Fred, I'm so with you. I think you hit on one of those things that I talk about with our customers all the time, and other accounts that I meet is IPAs are great out there, and in the craft beer world, it's what's growing the craft beer industry. It certainly differentiates us from some of the other large industries out there that are brewing other beers. But there are so many wonderful styles out there, and the cream ale might be subtle for some people, but again, there's some great ingredients in there, and this is a beer that people can drink a lot of, and that's what I love about this beer, and I think other people do too.
Great. Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah,
thanks for being
Fred.
our first guest.
Yeah, no problem.
You bet.